Crunch Time on FITV. I am Nelly Ugobi. Now the news headlines. Equerry to cede 40 properties to the federal government. UNICEF condemns abduction of children in Katsina. On the Russia-Ukraine war, power water restored in Kyiv following Russian strikes. Guinea junta to prosecute ex-President Condé. Ethiopia-Tigray truce brings hope. Pilots in Kenya to strike from Saturday. On entertainment, Hush Puppy sentenced to 11 years in prison. And in sports, FIFA admonishes World Cup teams to focus on football. Now the news in full. A federal high court sitting in Abuja, Nigeria, has on Friday ordered an interim forfeiture of 40 landed properties belonging to the former Deputy Senate President, Senator Ike Ikweremadu, who is currently in custody in the United Kingdom. The trial judge, Justice Inyang Ekwo, gave the order following an ex parte motion filed and moved by Ibrahim Buba on behalf of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. In a short ruling on the ex parte motion, the judge ordered the EFCC to publish the forfeiture order of the properties in the National Daily within 7 days from the date the order was given. The United Nations Children's Fund has strongly condemned the recent abduction of 21 children in Faskari local government area of Katsina State, describing the report as worrisome. UNICEF representative in Nigeria, Christian Munduate, in a media statement made available to journalists in Bauchi on Friday, said the abduction of children at home, school, or anywhere else is reprehensible. She expressed worry that the children have become victims of attacks by those who should be protecting them. Munduate called on the government to rescue them unhurt so that they can be reunited with their families. She also said UNICEF is concerned about the report of the abduction of the 21 children at a farm in Mirwa community, Faskari local government area of Katsina State, northwest Nigeria. A day after Russian missile strikes, Kyiv's water and electricity supplies were totally restored, and grain exports from Ukraine proceeded despite Moscow dropping out of an agreement to allow ships through. In the midst of Kyiv's counteroffensive, Russian officials declared that tens of thousands more residents will be evacuated from the Kherson region of southern Ukraine, which is currently under Russian occupation. Ukrainian presidential advisor Oleksiy Arestovich said Monday's bombardment was one of the most massive shellings of our territory by the army of the Russian Federation. Aerial photographs after the strikes showed Kyiv completely in the dark for the whole night, with only the lights from moving vehicles visible. The Guinean Justice Minister on Thursday ordered legal proceedings against former President Alpha Condé and more than 180 officials from his deposed regime. According to a public document, the ex-president was allegedly involved in corruption and embezzlement of public funds during his regime. Justice Minister Charles Wright, in a letter to 2 attorney generals on Thursday, requested that legal actions be taken against Condé and about 180 former officials for corruption, embezzlement of public funds, illicit enrichment, money laundering, forgery, and complicity. Condé's regime was deposed by a military junta in a coup last year. Meanwhile, several opponents of the military junta says it is going after Condé's old allies to stop them from running in the next elections. The ceasefire deal in Ethiopia's northern Tigray region has elicited hope among tens of thousands of people hit by the bloody 2-year conflict that their pains could be coming to an end. Many civilians are also recounting the terrible losses they suffered, while also looking forward to promised aid to restart their lives after a war that has killed thousands, displaced millions, and left several hundreds of thousands facing famine. Tigrayans have expressed joy and contagious positivity as they expect humanitarian assistance and the restoration of basic services. The two sides involved agreed to a permanent cessation of hostilities and to a systematic, orderly, smooth, and coordinated disarmament. Pilots at Kenya Airways plan to go on strike from Saturday. This is to seek better working conditions despite a court order suspending the industrial action. Kenya Airways, which connects several nations within Africa to other parts of the world, is currently facing turbulent times. The airline, partly owned by the government, as well as Dutch carrier KLM, is one of the continent's biggest. The Kenya Airline Pilots Association informed the public that a series of meetings with the airline management had failed to put to rest the pilots' grievances. The union's Secretary General, Captain Murithi Inyaga, said the Kenya Airways management have left them no other option after a 14-day notice on the industrial action had ended without a solution. As a follow-up, no Kenya Airways flight will depart Nairobi's Jomo Kenyatta International Airport from 6 a.m. on Saturday. Entertainment now. A popular Nigerian socialite, Ramon Abbas, popularly known as Hush Puppy, has been sentenced to 11 years in prison by the United States Central District Court in California over fraud and money laundering. Ramon Abbas will, however, spend only 9 years in prison, as he has already spent 2 years in prison in the United States. Hush Puppy was in June 2020 arrested in Dubai over an extensive fraud scheme that robbed victims of their money in the US, Qatar, the United Kingdom, and other places. He was then extradited to the United States, where he was charged with fraud and money laundering, and subsequently sentenced to 11 years in jail after he appealed to US Judge Otis Wright to tamper justice with mercy. The Federation of International Football, FIFA, has in a letter made available to newsmen urged teams participating in the Qatar World Cup to focus on football and stop handing out moral lessons. Qatar has come under criticism for its human rights record on the treatment of foreign workers on major infrastructure projects for the World Cup, on women's rights as well as LGBTQ rights. FIFA President Gianni Infantino and Secretary General Fatma Samura said in a letter sent to all 32 World Cup teams that focus should be on football. The letter further said football does not live in a vacuum, and they are equally aware that there are many challenges and difficulties of political nature all around the world, but also pleaded that football should not be dragged into every ideological or political battle that exists. As that's it on the news this hour. Please remember to like and share this video, follow all our social media platforms being displayed on the screen, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more updates. Thank you for tuning in. I am Nelly Ugabi.